Hi, Blue Room friends. We're back with another story. And this one is really special because I don't think we've ever read this one in class. I know, I don't think we watched the movie either. So we're going to read Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs today. Once there lived a princess named Snow White. She was beautiful with snow white skin, raven black hair, and a smiling rose red lips. Sadly, her mother had passed away when she was a baby, and after a time, the king married again, hoping to find happiness once more. But the new queen never smiled. She was cruel. Every morning she stood before her magic mirror. She said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" "You are, my queen," was the magic mirror's answer every time. But one morning, the queen asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" This time, the mirror replied, "You are fair, my queen, it's true, but Snow White is much fairer than you." The queen was furious. She called for a woodsman and ordered him to take Snow White into the forest and leave her there. The woodsman trembled in his boots, but he didn't dare say no. So he took Snow White into the deep, dark forest. And he told her everything that the queen had said, and then he told her to run for her life. So poor Snow White fled through the forest. At last, she came to a little cottage, this little house. And she heard friendly voices, so she knocked on the door and went inside. Inside were 7 happy little dwarfs sitting around the table eating supper. "Come and join us," they said. So Snow White sat down. Over supper, she told them everything that had happened. "Why don't you just live here with us?" the dwarf said. "You will be safe here." So Snow White agreed. The next morning, the dwarfs all set off for work. "Goodbye, Snow White," they called. "We'll be back at supper time." Meanwhile, far away beyond the forest, the queen was asking her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And the mirror answered, "You are fair, my queen, it's true, but Snow White is still fairer than you." So the queen turned red and screamed with rage, "Show me where she is. I'll get her myself." Snow White was picking berries in the forest, and when along came a lady wearing a big flowery hat. Little did Snow White know that it was the wicked queen in disguise. "Pretty combs for sale," said the lady. "Try one, my dear." And she slid a comb into Snow White's hair. And Snow White fell to the ground. It was poisoned. Luckily, the dwarfs rushed back just in time. They took the strange comb out of her hair, and when they did, Snow White's eyes opened. The queen was hiding, and she saw everything. "Ugh, I'll just have to try again tomorrow." The next day, the dwarfs told Snow White to stay inside. She was busy cleaning the cottage, and when she heard a voice through the window, "Lovely apples for sale." It was a little old lady with a shawl pulled over her face. "It can't bring any harm to talk to her through the window," thought Snow White. "I'd like some apples," she called. "Try one first," said the old lady, and she gave Snow White an apple so rosy and red that she just could not resist it. But the apple was painted with poison, and as soon as Snow White bit into it, she fell to the ground. When the dwarfs found her, they cried and they cried. Snow White still looked so beautiful, so they made her a glass coffin to lie in because they could not wake her up. They put the coffin under the trees and they visited her every day. And then one day, a prince came riding by, and he saw Snow White there, and he asked the dwarfs about her, and they told him the whole story. "She just looks asleep," he said. So he opened the glass coffin, and he lifted Snow White up. The piece of apple fell out of her mouth, and she woke up. "Let's go and tell your father everything," said the prince kindly. And so they did just that, and the king smashed the magic mirror, and he sent the wicked queen away. And from that day, Snow White and her friends lived happily ever after. So, tell me, guys, I want you to answer me. It's okay if you're talking to your tablet. What did the queen do that was so bad? Yeah, she wanted to hurt Snow White. And there was no reason to hurt Snow White. She was just mad. She was jealous because she wanted the beauty that Snow White had. And that's no reason to be mad at somebody and want to hurt them. We don't get jealous like that. We're all beautiful, and there's no reason to want anyone to be hurt because you think they're pretty. That's not okay of the queen to do. So I'm very happy that Snow White was okay in the end. Okay? Bye, guys. See you next time.